What's up, YouTube? It's been a while since I talked about my GoldWing and had a video pertaining to my GoldWing, but here we are. It's been about just over a year that I did a bunch of maintenance to this thing, and we're fixing to get the last few items taken care of before the new year kicks in. And we are right here in By God Spring, Texas, on New Year's Eve 2024, on a clear blue, beautiful sky morning, 65 degrees. What more could you ask for? Took the vet around for a spin around the block when I got her out of the garage. And now I'm huffing and puffing because I had to get that GoldWing on this side of the garage and set up to get those timing belts changed out. So, as you know, you got to have the engine ice cold when you do those timing belts. So I had to push that thing around 800 pounds, 900 pounds by myself, huffing and puffing, but I got it done. So like I said, the last few items, I went through the whole bike just over a year ago, but the last few items that I got are the timing belts, the spark plugs, and the coolant. And then this bike will be 100% gone through. So I'm not going to do a video of a step-by-step on the timing belt because there's other videos out there. Herbie's Garage that goes through it, Del Boy's Garage, I think, and then the GoldWing's doc website that has the step-by-step instructions. But I'm just going to show my bike as I kind of go through it, and particularly on the timing belts, because on this bike, when I bought it, the owner told me that the timing belts were not done. He took meticulous care of this bike, but that was one item that was not done on this bike, and it's a 1997. So 20, let's see, 3 years to 20, that's 3, and then 24, 27. New Year's coming tomorrow, so we're talking 28-year-old bike here, and the timing belts have never been done. So together, we're going to get this thing stripped down. We're going to take it apart. I want to see what those 28-year-old timing belts look like. I've been riding this thing around, no problem, but I've been taking somewhat of a chance, crossing my fingers and praying to God as I take her out on trips that them timing belts don't snap off and ruin that engine. So here we are, New Year's Eve 2024. I'm spending New Year's Eve working on this bike. It's in the morning. I've got a couple errands to run in between, so it's probably going to be the sun coming down before I get the whole thing done and put back together. But as I go through it, I'll hit some videos and some snapshots of what's going on with them timing belts and the coolant or whatever else I see that's really old and whatnot. So it's going to be an interesting day, bringing in 2025. Finally getting this bike. Wanted to get these timing belts done in 24 before the new year comes. So here I am, Mr. Procrastinator, last minute. So let's take a look real quick at the bike again here. 97 Honda GoldWing SE model right there, SE. And she's real nice. I mean, of course, if you've seen my other videos on my channel about my bike, you've seen me working on it, showing her off, videos when I first bought it and whatnot. So, and there's my Harley Road Kings all covered up with bed sheets, keep the dirt off. So I still got my Honda Road King Classic 2003 Anniversary Edition. But I just wanted to check the mileage on this bike, because not only is she 28 years old, but the mileage looks to be 69,067, if I see that right. I don't have my glasses on, but so we're pushing 70,000 miles, 28 years old. And once again, we're going to check in on those timing belts and see what they look like, what kind of condition they were in before I change them out, because that is one of the main things that everybody talks about when you buy a GoldWing, the older GoldWings, that you got to make sure those timing belts are changed. And if you don't have any documentation when you bought one, just go ahead and change them, because it's cheap insurance to go ahead and change them out, even if they were changed out and you didn't know it, because if they snap, the engine's toast. So, gonna get started and pop in throughout the process. See you in a bit. Alright folks, popping back in real quick. I got all the plastics off that are going to need to be off to do this job. Timing belts and coolant spark plugs. The plastic coming off didn't, you know, these pieces don't take long to take off. I mean, 15-20 minutes you got them on. A couple pieces up top so you can get to the radiator cap there, and on the other side here get to the reservoir coolant right there. There's the top of that. I gotta siphon that out but when it's time. But anyway, so got all the plastics off. Still got to get the hoses out of the way down here and get the timing covers off, timing belt covers off. But I just wanted to pop in and show you I drained this coolant here, and I'm not sure if this was ever drained before. It possibly could have been, but the previous owner's records didn't indicate anything about it had been drained or whatever. But this stuff was green up top in the coolant under the radiator cap there at the fill. It was green. Now I know a lot of Honda stuff, they've been using the blue stuff in later years. So I don't know when they change it to blue or if this is the original green and they just put green back in it. But as you can see in this pan right here, this stuff is almost dark brown, and when you swish it around, it's got little granular dirt particles and stuff. So this thing was dirty, nasty, ready to be changed. And ultimately on coolant, it doesn't matter if it's blue or the green or whatever. You're looking for the stuff that's made for aluminum engines, which is the ethylene glycol, low silicate. So that comes in green or blue. I happen to get the blue, not from Honda, but I happen to get the blue, and I bought a gallon of it. It's Valvoline stuff. I'll show you the jug when I'm ready to put it back in. But anyway, got the coolant drain, plastics off, and now I'm going to get these radiator hoses out of the way and the rest of that stuff out of the way so I can get them timing covers off, and then we'll pop back in and take a look at them 28-year-old timing belts. See ya. Alright folks, we're popping back in. I had to go run some errands, and then I did a little bit more work on the bike, got them covers off on them timing chains. And now it's going on 6 o'clock out here in Spring, Texas. It's dark out, fireworks are going off. About another just over 6 hours before 2025 is in effect. And I just wanted to point out a couple things from the earlier segment when I was talking about my Harley Road King. I called it a Harley Road King, and then I said a Honda Road King Classic. Yes, I know I said Honda, but I meant a Harley-Davidson Road King Classic. So wanted to square that up. And then also I wanted to point out in one of my other maintenance videos that I did is whenever y'all get new TVs or anything with big boxes, and if y'all work on y'all's cars and bikes and stuff, man, save those boxes, because you know when you're older, these things are knee savers and body savers. Because, you know, I'm 52 years old. It's not like when I was 22 and 32, I get down on the ground and I just bounce back up. I mean, this concrete hurts. So these boxes make it real nice, especially when you're changing oil on cars and trucks. Put them down, stay off the concrete, give a little cushion to your body, and stay a little cleaner and stuff. But I just wanted to point that out. And then, so I'll point out what the parts I got here. So I told you I drained the radiator and stuff here, and I got my Valvoline Z-Rex Asian. It is the blue stuff, and I said on the earlier segment that you want to get low silicate, but this is completely silicate free. So you can see right there it says silicate and borat free formula. So you want to get totally silicate free for the aluminum engines, whether it's blue or green. Just make sure on the bottle it says that. And then when I get the timing belts on and everything back and I'm ready to start it, I'm gonna do a thorough flush on the system. So I got me some Prestone cooling system flush. I'm gonna run that flush through it till it heats up, the fans come on, and then I'm gonna flush it out, and then I'm gonna fill it back up with some distilled water cycle it through, flush it out, drain it, and then flush it one more time again with distilled water before I refill it with new stuff. That's the way I know it goes through the whole system, the radiators and everything, because it had that stuff that came out of it was brown and dirty, and I want to make sure I get good flushing done on that system, because I have no records of when it was done, if it was ever done. So anyway, I got the parts here. I got 2 pulley tensioners, brand new, that are going on the bike right there. There's the part number, if you care to know, if you want to stop it, pause it and get that part number. Those are the 2 pulleys. And I also got the tensioner springs. Those are the spring numbers. Each one has a spring, and so I got new springs on that. And obviously I got the new belts, 2 belts, Gates belts, T275s, got that. And then I got the gasket sets here that are going back on the timing belt covers. So we got one of them, there's the part number for that gasket. There's a 3-set gasket. And then we got, let's see, that part number. And then the kind of the circle one, I think, that goes in the middle. That's the part number on that. And then I bought new spark plugs, NGKs, the same that came out of the bike. Put new spark plugs back in it. And so that's all the parts I got. So now is the reveal. Before I take these belts off, let's get down here and show you what I saw. I got a little antifreeze dripping right there because I got this thing still dripping away, but got the old timing covers off and the old timing belts there. I mean, the belts are on there, but man, check this out. Check this out. I gotta get the position here. This, I think I got real lucky, because like I said, I don't know if this thing has ever been changed, if these are the original belts, 28 years old. But check this out. Look at this slop in this belt right here. I mean, that's a lot of slop right there. So, and that one, and then the one over here is not as much slop, but this one right here, man, it is so loose. I mean, it is. And I think, now I don't know, I've been imagining things, but because, you know, this is my first GoldWing, and it's an older GoldWing, so I've been learning about this thing over the past year or so that I've had it, year and a half. And now that, you know, I'm seeing this, I think I was hearing a noise when I started it up, and it would idle, and I'd kind of, you know, while it was sitting there, I'd kind of like rev it up while I was kind of standing off to the side of it. I'd rev it up, and I thought I heard something down low. So I don't know if it, you know, maybe I'm going crazy, getting old or whatever, but this possibly could have been, you know, slapping around on here when these covers are on. I don't know if that was making noise or not, but we're gonna not when I was driving it. It was more just kind of, you know, revving it up, whoom, 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 while it was sitting still. So we'll see when I get the new timing belt on if I still hear that noise or if it's something in my head. I don't know, but obviously, look at that, bang, 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 bang. So man, I got damn lucky that these things didn't come off or broke or whatever. So that's the scoop right there, y'all. The timing belts are going to be replaced, and everything's going to be brand new on this bike. Belts, tensioners, springs, and oh yeah, and on the radiator, these 2 little radiator hoses you're supposed to take off, and they connect down. They connect down under here, right here. But I tried to take them off, but man, they were on there real. I tried to pull gently and try to wiggle them things off. I could not get these hoses off the tips of them little pipes right there. So I did not want to put too much force on there. because those hoses are you know, the original hoses, and they don't feel the best. So I didn't want to tear them, break anything, break the metal tips on the housing here, or tear the rubber hoses, and then I'll be really screwed. I wouldn't be able to start this bike till I got some replacement stuff, and then I'd have to get up here in the radiators and do even more work. So that's why I got these bungee cords right here, kind of pulling had a little bit of slack that I could pull away, keep this pulled away, these two hoses pulled away, so I could slip this side of the long side of the cover out. Because when you're looking at the bike, if you're looking at the bike on the left side down here, which is the right side when you're sitting on it, it has the shorter piece of the cover, and then the left side of the bike when you're sitting on it, right side when you're looking at it, which I'm on the right side of it looking at it. That's the long piece, so I had to wiggle it past these hoses. So I needed to get all that tension off of the cover. So that's why I got that bungee corded up, and I was able to get that cover off and out of there, because I did not want to take a chance on forcing these hoses off these things right here, and then I'd really be screwed and pissed for the new year. So anyway, just wanted to show y'all that before I take all this stuff apart and put all the new stuff back on. So when I get the new stuff back on, and then I'll continue to add to this video later. Well, folks, I'm here with another pop-in. It's January 1st, 2025. It's a new year. Happy New Year to everybody. Out here in Spring, Texas, another clear blue sky. Just beautiful day today. A cool, crisp 57 degrees so far this morning. Gonna warm up to about 63, 64, and it's just a gorgeous day that I should be out riding that GoldWing right there. But unfortunately, I'm still working on it. I know I said I was gonna get these timing belts. I said I was gonna get these timing belts done in 2024, and I procrastinated and waited until the last second. But technically I did get those timing belts changed out. I got them on and before the new year came, but you know, the neighborhood was sounding like a war zone last night with all the fireworks, and the neighbors came by, and then some friends came by. So you know what, I got them timing belts on. I rotated the engine around, make sure everything was good, and decided to close up shop and visit with people and get some rest, and call it a night, get some rest, and start again this morning. I'll tell you what, you know, I talked about having those cardboard boxes, keep them cardboard boxes when you buy big TVs or something, so you can get down on the ground instead of laying on concrete. But even with that, whew, my body's sore and my little chicken butt is sore. I know that's too much information, but I ain't got enough padding back there to sustain me of sitting down on the ground or laying on the ground for hours at a time. So I'm sore, I'm hurting, but we're gonna get back on this bike and finish up putting the spark plugs in and the coolant, putting it back together and getting it all running again. But let's take a look at those new timing belts. They're on, and let's go check it out here. So see what we got. Got brand new belts. There's the Gates belts, brand new white writing on them, all on there. Got brand new two tensioner on each side there, brand spanking new with the new springs, new belts. All the timing marks are lined up. I've rotated the engine. And so it's time to continue on with the task at hand here, and put the timing covers back on and put those new spark plugs back in, and do a really good flush several times on the radiator cooling system. Get this thing cranked up, put back together so I can go riding later on this week. But yeah, so once again, Happy New Year. It's good to be alive in 2025, and I'm gonna keep on working today, see how long it's gonna take me to get this thing put back together, and I'll pop in when I get it all started again. So talk to y'all in a bit. Alright folks, popping back in. I got the timing belt covers back on, all the coolant hoses, everything put together to where I can start it up and run it. She's running beautifully, just fine. Wanted to point out a couple things here. Take a look at these original timing belts. Now, again, the bike's a 97, so 28 years old, and it had just under 70,000 miles. Now, I know for a fact that these belts weren't changed because the guy that I bought it from told me he did not have them changed. So, and you know, even with him not telling me that, there was no stickers on the covers of indication saying somebody changed them. They're Honda belts, which that doesn't, you know, necessarily mean they weren't ever changed, because if you took it to a Honda shop, I guess they would put Honda belts back on it. But like I said, the owner told me he never had them changed. So these belts, 28 years old, there's no, you know, visible cracks or any kind of dry rotting or anything like that that would indicate they were bad or fixing to snap. But you know, they're a little bit brown. It has some brown dirt inside the covers and stuff. I guess just over time, age and dirt getting through the gasket possibly. Because I've seen on people's videos when they're changing these belts out, they get that brown dirt on the inside. But these are Honda belts. Let's see, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but right there it faintly says Honda on there. So these aren't Gates, these are Honda, even though I think Gates made these for Honda. So they don't look like they're bad, but you know, looks can be deceiving. It's possibly that, you know, they could have cracked at any time. But from what I understand, I read on the internet, and again, you can't believe everything on the internet, but I did some research and I did some investigation, and from what I understand, when timing belts are old on these GoldWings, is if you need to be really concerned is if the bike sat for years without starting, without running, and the belts were never changed. That is a bad situation. Now, my bike, even though these are the original belts, and the guy was older that I bought the bike from, but he had it for years, and towards the later on, towards his retirement age, he didn't ride as much. So he, you know, he was a pilot, so he had planes at his house. He had a house with the airplane hangar in it and stuff, because he lived in a neighborhood where they had a runway and all that stuff. But so he was working on his planes, and he had that GoldWing parked in his hangar there. And he wasn't riding it as much, but he regularly started the bike and rode it around the neighborhood, you know, once a week, once every 2 weeks, at least monthly. He regularly started the engine, worked the engine and all that. So the bike did not sit for years and years. That's why I was a little bit more comfortable when I picked up the bike. I rode it home from his house, from Dallas to Houston, Crescent, Texas, back to Spring. And I didn't really worry about it too much. Now, it's always been on my mind. I've been driving it around after I did all my other maintenance stuff for the past year. I've been driving around with these old belts, but you know, taking a chance somewhat. But because the bike was never put up for years and years, that's quite possibly could have helped these old belts. So let's get over here and I'll show you all the bike. She's running. Got brand new coolant in it, blue coolant, brand new spark plugs. The plugs I took out, now they're, you know, I don't know how old they are or whatever, but they had, you know, they're not worn down or anything. They're still in good shape. Everything looked good about the plugs. So, but you know, if you're going to do this job, you might as well, even if you replace the plugs the 6 months, a year, and you're doing the timing belt, just replace them again. You're there. You got to take them out to rotate the engine. So it's got new plugs, new coolant. She's running, and everything's tight down here. no leaks on that coolant. I got my stickers on both sides, gate stickers showing that I changed the belts with the mileage and the date. Got another one over there on the other side, and everything's going good. Now, one issue I did have is this dang oil pressure sensor cable was tight. So when I was trying to put this boot back, this rubber boot back on right here, the cable was so tight that I broke the connector off on it. And so I had some wire here at the house and shrink wrap stuff, heat shrink connectors. So I made the wire longer, put a piece on there, put the heat shrink on there, and there it is up there. And then a new connector. And I had to slice the boot because it has a little bit bigger connector and the wire's thicker. So I had to slice the boot to get it around on there, but then I put the boot on there, electrical taped it all up. So a little modification I had to do there. Everything's working good, but everything's put back together. Bike's running great, sounds great. And now we're going to proceed forward with a couple other items. So let's get up here and give her a couple of revs here. So warm up. Oh, she's sounding good. So yeah, so a couple more things I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the steering head bearings don't have any issues. I'm just going to jack the front wheel off the ground with my motorcycle jack, get it off the ground a little bit, and push the handlebar side to side, see if it's doing any catching where the bearings are sticking or worn out. And then I'm going to pull on the tire, make sure the forks aren't any slack or movement in it, and that'll give me a good indication if the forks aren't moving around, there's no slack, the bearings are good. If the handlebars are moving freely side to side without coming to a stop on their own in a certain position, the bearings are good. So I'm gonna do that, and then I need to lube the speedometer cable thing down here on this side, lube that up, because I noticed when I'm putting around 5-10 miles an hour, maybe up to 15 miles an hour, the speedometer is bouncing around until I get going about 20 miles an hour, then it gets steady again. So I think that needs some lubing up and all that. So that's where I'm at with the bike, and I'm gonna do all that and put all the plastics back on, get this whole thing back together, and she'll be able to ride. She'll be good to go for many more miles and many more years to come, other than the regular maintenance, oil and stuff like that. But everything's going good. She's looking good, and so when I get done here and get everything put back together, I'm gonna pull her out here in the driveway here, and I think I'm gonna get my Harley out, and I need to drain the gas out. It's been in there about a year. I don't like that, but drain the gas out, put some fresh gas in it, and start that up. So I'll show that on camera next to the GoldWing here. And for all you Harley haters, yeah, she's coming out. But anyway, I'll pop back in when she's all ready. Well, hey folks, I'm back with the final pop in on the video after I've changed the timing belts, and as promised, I got my Harley Road King Classic out. We'll talk about her in a minute. I took her around the block. I hadn't started it up in quite a few months, and she almost didn't start. The battery was a little weak, and I keep everything, all my bikes on battery tenders, my Corvettes on battery tenders, and but that battery is, I think, pushing 7 to 8 years old. I'm gonna have to look at my documentation, because the engine didn't want to turn over, and I kept hitting it, and finally it cranked up. And then the battery seemed strong after I drove it around. But yeah, it's time to get a new battery. We'll talk about the Road King Classic in a minute. So back on the GoldWing, she's running real good, and everything went good, as I said in the previous segments. But a couple things I wanted to point out, something that happened when I was put the belts back on that I did not show when I was down with the camera looking at the belt. So on the left side, when you're down on the ground looking at the bike on the left, I used, one of the things I used was the GoldWing Docs website that has the pictures and the step-by-step instructions. So when I went to put the left side belt on, looking at the left side, it was off a few teeth 2 or 3 times. When I put the belt back on the tensioner and got it on the tensioner, the cam pulley moved, and it raised up a tooth or so, and it was off the mark just a little bit. Well, on the GoldWing docks, he has a picture. You take a board and a measurement, put some screws in there, so you can use the screw heads to stick them in the oval holes on the camshaft pulley. And is it camshaft or crankshaft? I don't know. Anyway, pulley on the left, put them in the holes, and then put that pulley back on the mark. Well, I just used a pair of channel locks. So I just opened up the channel locks wide enough, stuck the ends of them in there, spread them enough far apart enough that each piece went into a hole, and it didn't take much force. I moved it with a pair of channel locks, so you didn't have to do that board stuff, but it definitely moved, and I had to do it 2 or 3 times before I got that belt on there and lined up perfectly. So if you do this, don't think that, oh, it's just off a little bit, it's fine. No, that mark needs to be perfectly lined up when you put those belts back on. So that was one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing I wanted to mention was when I drained the coolant, I used a coolant flush, Prestone coolant flush, and I did 4 times I cycled the engine. So on the coolant flush, you know, it gets a little sudsy. So I ran it 20 minutes, 30 minutes, drained it. It was sudsy. Put a gallon of distilled water in there, ran it again, and more suds came out, and then I ran it 2 more times with a gallon each time of distilled water for 20 minutes each time, until it was no more suds. It was perfectly, you know, damn near perfectly clear, because each time it was dirt, it was dirty, there was stuff coming out after each cycle. So it took me about 4 times before I put the fresh blue stuff in there. So, and in between those cycles, what also got dirt out was I filled up a jug with just regular tap water, and when I stopped the engine and drained out everything between the cycles, I poured a gallon of tap water through there and let it just drain straight through with the drain plug open, and as it went through the cooling system and drained immediately right back out, it pushed out some dirt and old stuff just doing that. So I really flushed that system really good 4 times, and it came out good. So everything is done on this bike that I could possibly do now, and the only things, you know, if you watch my other video series, everything I did, so I've done everything that's serviceable on this bike. But a couple of things that I did not need to do is I didn't need to do new brake pads, because all the brake pads are basically brand new. There's lots of meat left on them, so they're basically brand new brake pads. So even if they were old, I didn't change them. And then the other thing I didn't do anything with the carburetor system, and because, like I said, the guy that I bought it from, he quit riding the bike towards his later years in life. That's why he sold it. But he started it up once a month, rode it around the neighborhood. So he kept the timing belts going, he kept the engine going, he kept, and that helped keep the carbs and everything going. So especially on carburetors, you know, you can't leave anything with carburetors just sitting around for, 6, 8 months, a year, 2 years, and think everything's going to work just fine, because those carburetors will get gummed up. But I've never had any problems with the carburetors, although I have run a few cans of Seafoam and Berryman's through the system just to do that, just to clean anything out if there's anything. But I've never noticed any performance issues or gas mileage issues. So I didn't have, there wasn't anything for me to do on the carburetors at this time. Now, if I have to, well, it's going to be kind of a pain. I've watched some videos on it. I know a little bit about it. But, yeah, I really don't want to do that job, so I'm going to keep it running, ride it all the time. And I've had motorcycles, trucks, cars. I got multiple cars. I got Corvette. So, and I did have a big old 2000 Ford F-250 7.3 power stroke diesel truck that I wasn't driving all the time. And I ended up selling it because, I wasn't driving a truck anymore that much after I got my Toyota cars. And you know, it sat. I started up once a month, and then went to 2 months, and 3 months, and then it just, you know, 6 months, and it just started sat there. It sat there and it started deteriorating, and I had to do stuff to keep it going. And so my point is, if you got anything with engines, don't let them sit for months at a time. Crank the stuff up. Lawnmowers, generators, whatever you got, they're made to run and work, not sit and rot away, because they will rot away. So make sure that anything you got with engines, combustible engines, that you keep them running regularly, keep them in good shape. And that's why that GoldWing's in good shape, because the guy I bought it from, he kept it running and rode it, even if it was just around the neighborhood, he rode it on a regular basis. So let's get back to the bikes here. So I'm about to go out a ride on the GoldWing and really get her out on the highway, and you know, 80 miles an hour, which I hadn't had her out that fast since all the work since these timing belts I did. But I got her running, and she's looking good, sounding good, and rev her up again. Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait to get out on the road and here shortly and ride it. So let me go ahead and turn this one off. And one thing I wanted to point out too that I got on the bike that I saw somebody on the internet. I don't know why. I really didn't know about this, but last year when I just put this on because I got it last year, but I got me a Texas plate antique motorcycle. So in Texas, your vehicle has to be minimum of 25 years old, and you can get you an antique plate there. As you can see, I got that back in September last year, 24, and you pay a one-time fee. It was like under 80 bucks, so basically one-time registration fee in Texas 1 year, and you get to have a tag for 5 years. So that, you know, it's a good savings and less hassle. But you know, any antique vehicle is supposed to be for you know, riding. You're going to take the vehicle in clubs or parades and stuff like that. Well, yeah, the police aren't going to hassle you too much, and if they do, it's like, oh, I was just coming from my club, or I'm driving to my club, we're having a club meeting, and that's why I'm out with my antique vehicle. So anyway, I want to point my antique vehicle. I'll be doing that on the Harley. She's an 03, not quite ready, and my Corvette's is a 02, not quite ready, but as soon as those hit 25 years, I'll be doing that. So I want to talk about the Harley, since I haven't done many videos on the Harley. I did one showing the luggage rack that I came up with on the back, and how I loaded it up with luggage, and took her on a trip again to the Texas Hill Country Twisted Three Sisters, and rode up there and had it loaded down with luggage, and my girlfriend at the time, passenger on the bike, and rode good. And before that, I took this bike. You know, a lot of people want to knock Harleys. Oh, they're a piece of crap, and they're this, that, and the other. And you know, any bike can break down. They got their issues or whatever. But you know, yeah, Harley did have a reputation back in the AMF days. When was that, the 80s? I don't know, late 70s, early 80s, whenever that was. But you know, this bike right here is a 2003. It's the 88 cubic inch. It's a damn good motor, as long as you do the you know, maintenance, and I do all my own maintenance and stuff. But it's a damn good motor. And the only thing about these 88s, though, you gotta check them cam tensioners on there on the shoes that they got on there. So I had to take this thing apart right here and pull that cover off, and look at my shoes, because they can wear through. They don't have adjustable shoes on that, and they can wear through and shred, and then that shredded nylon, whatever material that is, will shred apart and block the oil flow, and then that'll cause engine catastrophe, and you know, you can ruin your motor. So at some point last year, a couple years ago, when I serviced my bike, I did a bunch of stuff to it. I took all that apart, and I took some pictures of mine, and it barely had any wear on those shoes, or whatever you call them. So I'm good for another 30,000 miles before I check them again. And so, like I said, this is a 2003 Road King, Harley-Davidson Road King Classic 100 year anniversary edition. These, you know, bikes, and over the 100-year anniversary editions, they came in white, blue, this black and silver, which is the flagship color, and the black and blue is the flagship color. I mean the black and silver, excuse me, black and silver is the flagship color that you're seeing here. And on the badge, you see on the other bike, the white and blue bikes, they have the same badge, but they're completely silver. This is gold key edition with this paint scheme here. So this center right here, this is gold colored on these particular paint schemes right here. That's why I guess they call it the gold key edition. So I bought this bike in April. I think it was April 15th on tax day. I drove up to Austin, Texas and bought it from a guy, and in 2009. So it was, you know, what, 7 years old when I got it, and had low mile, had like 9,000 miles on it. The guy didn't ride it that much, and you know, I haven't put a lot of miles on it because I ride my bike around to different bike paths and stuff, and around the Houston area and the Spring area, and go up to Montgomery and Conroe and in the country, Lake Livingston, and all over the, you know, known motorcycle paths. So if, you know, I go out, I ride a couple 100 miles at a time, this, that, and the other, so my mileage does not add up quick. But I took this bike 3 years ago to on a group ride right here from Spring, Texas, Houston, Texas area, and we rode multiple bikes all the way to Wisconsin, a week ride. I rode this bike right here 3 years ago to Wisconsin, and then we stayed at a resort type place in Wisconsin, and then we took day trips into Michigan and rode all around, and then came back. You know, it was what, 3,700 mile round trip, and never had any issues, not one problem with this old bike. Even though it's a 2003, she treated me well and got me there, got me back. So I haven't had any problems yet. So for anybody that's bashing Harleys, you know, they're good bikes, and that's why the police officers use these things, you know, because they're tough, they're strong, and if the way the police have to ride them and treat them and abuse them sometimes, you know, they can take it. So I mean, they're good bikes. Now it's a totally different experience, of course, than the GoldWing. You know, the Harley 88 cubic inch, especially, the handlebars shake and all that when it's sitting there and when you're idling. But once you get going, it all levels out. You know, it's loud, it's shaky, this, that, and the other. And the GoldWing, you know, it's quiet and whatnot, and it's just complete two different experiences. So it's whatever kind of ride you feel like doing that day. You want to be loud and noisy and feel a little bit more free, or you know, the Harley has soul and the GoldWing really doesn't. Or you want to get on the GoldWing, be quiet and comfortable and have more wind off of you, then go with the GoldWing. So it's whatever mood I'm in for the day, or where I might be going, or who's going with me, if I have somebody riding, and what we need to bring. So, but I wanted to point out some things on the Harley, in case anybody's interested. Now, this is a Harley Road King Classic. So with a Road King Classic, it's supposed to have hard leather bags on the back, which I do have those that came with it. And then it came with spoke rims. But what I did is I found Ultra, the same bike was an Ultra Classic that had the full tour pack and the fairing with the stereo and all that. And some guy was selling, I can't remember if he upgraded his or it was a wreck, I don't know. But he had these rims. These gold rims were off the same year Ultra Classic. So I put those on my bike, and I put the matching hard saddlebags on there that matches my paint scheme and all that. Now she's dirty. I know. See this right here? This isn't messed up. This is dirt. This is dirt. So it needs to be cleaned up. But so that's a few things that's special about this particular Road King Classic, is that I have the color match hard bags, and the gold rims just like an Ultra Classic. So you don't see that all the time. And in the early years before I was working on my bike, I used to take my bike to one of the Harley dealerships, and every time I took it there a few times. I don't want to say every time, I only took it there a few times, but each time that I had it there, I'd come pick it up, and the guys that were working there were like, man, you want to sell that bike? Because we had like 20 people asking if this bike was for sale. So they have never seen an 03 that clean. Now she's dirty now, but this thing is clean. When I clean it up, she's a looker. So, you know, anytime I go to any kind of bar or bike gathering and I ride my Harley, people come out, they're, you know, all the bikes will be lined up and they're walking around, they're stopping and they're looking at this bike right here because it's a Road King Classic with just some different stuff on it. And she's in really good condition for a 2003. So a few things that, so those are the things that I did to it. Some other things that I did to it is I put these crash bar bags on it. I put the matching saddle lid covers right here that have the studs that match the seat and all that. I put a bigger, wider backrest here because it came with a skinnier one that had the 100-year anniversary emblem on it, but it wasn't too comfortable for a passenger, so I wanted my passenger to be really comfortable, so I bought a wider one. What else did I do? I put Kiriakin ISO grips on. I put these highway pegs on that match, kind of match the stuff that was on it. Got those highway pegs. I put the plastic high strength ABS on the crash bar protector on each one, little ones. They're high strength plastic, so you know, you drop it, it's gonna protect the chrome finish on there. And I dropped it once. I dropped her once. I got off balance on a hill in a squirrely way on the highway, and I lost footing, and the bike tumped over, and I almost wanted to cry. And I was scared to turn around and look when I let it go, and she was sitting up at an angle on those crash bars, didn't damage not one thing. But it sure did make me want to cry because I thought I thought I just ruined my bike. But those crash bars worked when you're sitting still. Now, they're not made to be in a crash 30 miles an hour. You know, it's made if you just tump it over, basically sitting still or going less than 5 miles an hour maybe. So another thing I did a few years ago is I put these Eagle lights on here. LED light kits, and each one, all the lights have a halo ring around them that light up, and they are, I mean, they light up the dark like you wouldn't believe. I've been to the Twisted Sisters a few times, and the first couple times I went, I had the original headlights on here, and they were so dim. We were riding in the pitch black, and they were dim. But the last time I went, a couple years ago, I had these lights on brand new, and man, I rode from Lakey to Bandera back and forth at 2 in the morning, pitch black, doing bar hopping, and pitch black on the Twisted Sister highways through the actual hills, and it's just me out there 2 in the morning, pitch black, and these lights just lit up the highway like you wouldn't believe. I mean, these things are awesome. I guess they're the same as you know, any LED lights kits that you can find, whatever name, but I went with the Eagle lights because they're a little bit cheaper than the top name brand. I can't think of the big name brand that a lot of people get, but I wasn't paying those prices. So the Eagle lights, I ordered them, and I've been very, very happy with them. So I wish they had something for my GoldWing like that. Like I said, I upgraded the headlights and the side marker lights with LED bulbs, and down here made those into turning the curb lights into driving lights, and put LED bulbs in them. So all that's just LED bulbs. They don't have an actual whole light system where the whole light is a LED replacement. I wish they had something like that for the GoldWing, but they don't, as far as I know. So I just had to go with straight up using the same lenses and all that, just putting LED bulbs in there. But yeah, that's just a few things I did on my bike. Oh, one thing, I got my AirHawk seat cushion here. You put a little air in it and it helps out on long trips. Here's my other crash bar bag, and then this, I did a video on this before I went on my last trip to Twisted Sisters, because I took a lot of luggage with me and my girlfriend at the time. We took a lot of luggage, and I got the regular chrome luggage rack on here, and just can't fit a whole lot on there. So I was like, I need to do something here. And so, you know, I didn't want to buy no Rick rack for $400 or $500, so I found something at Lowe's. And I did a video on this on my YouTube channel that talks about just this and shows how the luggage goes on there. But this is what you call a project kneeler. And I found this like 25 bucks at Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's a project kneeler. You put your tools on here, and it has a padding where you put it on the ground. You can kneel on it, or you flip it over in a bench. So I was like, oh, that's cool, because I bought some backpacks that have the sleeves where you put the sleeves like over your sissy bar. Well, I bent these down to make them a little bit more narrow, smash these down, and now the backpack, this goes inside the backpack sleeve, so and fits on there perfect. And then I bought all this hardware at Tractor Supply, and I put some sticky back stuff on here, velour or whatever that material is right there to protect the chrome finish on my nice Harley luggage rack back here so I wouldn't scratch it. But I got all this all tightened down, so this thing, man, I can hold those 2 backpacks on each side, and then if I have them sticking out that way, out that way, I can put my big old other luggage piece in the center right here. We had stuff stacked up where you wouldn't believe what it looked like if you had to see my other video talking about this, or especially I made a little movie about the Lakey trip, and it shows the bike, man. I had that thing, I couldn't believe all that stuff I had on it, but man, this thing worked great. So, and I was gonna take it off when I got back from that trip, but I was like, yeah, it's kind of a little pain to undo all this, so I was like, I'll just keep that on there, and that way I don't need to carry anything, man. This thing is ready to go. So that was a cool little thing I came up with. It didn't cost much money at all, so I didn't have to buy that rickrack stuff, $400 or $500, but anyway, that's the Road King. Oh, let me see if let's start her up here and see, because earlier the battery was low. She didn't want to crank good, but I took her around and now she's doing good. So let's see what happens here. Neutral, neutral, boom, boom, boom. There we go. Oh yeah. There, that's the difference. That's the difference between that bike right there. Nice and quiet, if you can hear me, and loud and noisy right here. But there's the lights. I know the sun is shining on them, so you really can't get the full effect there. But it's got the halo rings on there, and these things just are bright as you, man. In the pitch dark, they are great. They are great. So anyway, yeah, it's been a while since I had her running. It feels good to get back on her. Yeah, that's a noisy damn thing. But yep, so those are my 2 bikes. Got my timing belt job done. The GoldWing is 100% gone through. She's ready to go for the next few years, other than oil changes and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna be taking her out here shortly and going up to Lake Livingston and ride around, go check on some property of mine. And but anyway, those are my 2 bikes, and I guess we'll see y'all next time if I do anything on the GoldWing. Thanks for stopping by.